Hello, Arthur. How are you? Welcome.
I'm good. How are you doing?
Everything is okay. Thanks for joining us in our conversation about the current status of filmmaking around the world. I believe you're joining us from New York, correct?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Yes. We have been communicating several times by email. I know a lot about your work. If you like to introduce yourself in your own word, what can you say to the viewers?
Yeah, so my name is Arthur Vincie. I'm a writer, director, and producer. My background is in independent film. To date, I have written and directed 2 feature films and a web series, the first season of a web series called Three Trembling Cities, which is a drama about it's a fiction web series about the inner lives and daily struggles of 2 groups of immigrants living in New York. I've also written and directed some short films and produced and production managed a whole bunch of projects, features, shorts, music videos, pilots, all that stuff. I also teach production management over at Montclair State University, and I wrote a nonfiction book on pre-production. So that's the short bio.
Yes, yes. As I can see in your Internet Movie Database profile, you worked in a lot of film profession, behind the camera, and and this gives you, very good technical understanding of what's going on for you when you direct your own project. You know how also to give direction to people, behind the camera helping you. Electrician, sound, syncing unit, etc. So I want to hear a little. Yes, I want to speak a little bit about your television series. It's a web series. How many episodes you realized?
So the first season is 10 episodes, and
Mm-hmm.
they range in length from about 6.5 minutes to 13 minutes. But you can watch the whole season in 90 minutes. So it's about the length of a feature film.
Very good. But I want you to explain to me and everybody listening, because the term of web series, I mean, um, uh, what does it differ from a general series? The length, maybe the length.
Yeah, I think, this isn't universally true, but most web series episodes tend to be shorter.
Uh-huh.
And budgets are almost always lower. Although I have seen some really amazing web series that were, made with quite a few bucks, but they're
Yes.
mostly done on a lower budget. The model of distribution, the model of financing and distribution is different. On the financing side, most of these are financed outside of the main television industry.
Yes.
So it's usually folks scratching together some money from friends and family and themselves and crowdfunding. And then on the distribution side, they're usually released. This is not universally true, but most of them are released across multiple platforms on a non-exclusive basis. So
Very good.
yeah, so like whereas, something like The Mandalorian, you're only going to be able to see on Hulu, or, there are some shows only on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the goal of most web series is to try and stream it on a bunch of different platforms.
Yes.
Again, that's not always the case. you know.
Yes, yeah, that's why when you send me the link to the web series, I saw that there is around like 10 networks showing it at the same time. So, which is good. But tell me right now, I see in your filmography you have a short film in post-production called Cosmic Pleister, correct? This
Playtester,
is,
yeah.
yeah. This is something you finished or shooting?
Yeah, I should probably update that. Yeah, I did finish it. We and then it's just started to get into festivals when when everything
Mhm.
fell apart. So we've had so it's been in one festival already that
Yes.
went online, and it's going to be in another festival at the end of the month, the Gen Con Film Festival. That's
Mhm.
part of a really huge gaming convention, probably the biggest
Yes.
one in America, and
Yes.
it sucks because that they had to make a decision about whether to cancel it altogether or just do everything online. So the good thing is I think they decided instead of canceling to do everything online. So now the film screenings and also the game tournaments and stuff, that's all going to be online. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. Uh,
Yes. So right now, also as far as I know, for also your web series and other web series, there are specific festivals showing them right now and giving them awards. So it's some kind of an additional showcasing as well.
yeah, yeah. I mean the nice thing about the web series festival world is that they recognize that most shows are already available.
Hmm.
So there's very little emphasis on exclusivity or premiere status. They
Hmm.
just want to uh, highlight and as you said, like it gives additional exposure to the shows. So I think most of those are going to go online this summer and fall as well, um, which I guess is it's a bit of a shame because one of the great things about festivals, as you know, is getting to meet people. So it's not going to be quite the same experience, but what can you
Yeah,
do?
yes. Uh, Tell me a little bit about yourself as a filmmaker when these news started to flow about the COVID and everything starting to shut down. What were your thoughts, as a creator, as a filmmaker? I mean, of course, you have like your own vision. I mean, your own. Artificial eye, like sometimes we say, huh? How did you receive it? And if you like to do something reflecting it on how do you think you will approach it?
Yeah. So on the one hand, um, I've been very it's been very disheartening because of the lack of any kind of coherent response from the American government and some of the governments around the world to either
Mm-hmm.
deal with the disease or deal with the economic fallout. So a lot of my
Mm-hmm.
friends, I've been comparatively lucky. I've got jobs outside the film business, and even my teaching went online. So I didn't lose very much income.
Mm-hmm.
Projects that I've been thinking about obviously got put on hold, but that's not.
Yeah.
But my friends, they lost months of work that they were expecting to have. Um, so that's been very, and the response by the government has been paltry, absolutely horrible. So that sucked. On the other hand, I think about I often think about the article that Arundhati Roy wrote, The Pandemic as a Portal, because one of the things that this catastrophe is highlighting are things that were already a problem before this started. The incredible precarity of so many people, like being one paycheck away from not being able to pay bills or pay anything. So I am, part of me is very, and also the Black Lives Matter protests that have been going on. Those things have made me hopeful that this is a moment where we can see real transformative change in society to make a more just world. For better or worse, that's been occupying that part of my brain that would normally be writing. So I haven't gotten a whole lot of creative writing done in the last few months. I've been mostly focused on, making a living, and we've been going to protests sometimes and staying in touch with our friends and just making sure everybody's okay. But I've been looking at the series Bible for season 2 of Three Trembling Cities and trying to figure out how to address, if we ever get into production on it, like how to address this time period. If we go into production next year, which would be great, I'm going to have to write in I don't think it would make sense to ignore this. The impact on immigrants has been especially harsh. On top of the anti-immigrant sentiment in this country and from this administration, the pandemic has also affected immigrants over and above, what it's affected, the way in which it's affected, American-born folks. So I have to figure out how to address that, but I haven't figured it out yet. I don't know if that answers your question. I'm sorry if I'm rambling a bit.
No. Actually, yes. You answered very, very correctly about what I was thinking about. What I like to notice as well about Three Trembling Cities. I noticed that the cast. I haven't noticed them before in films or television. Are they when you shot the series, they like newcomers? Did you do like a workshop with them, and did they break through afterwards, or what about the casting? What happened?
Sure. They're all professional actors. Some of them have more experience than others.
Yes.
Yassine Diambe, who plays Babacar, he had just come off of he'd literally just come back from Sundance a couple weeks before coming into audition. He had been in a short film called Jungle. And he's done a bunch of things, independent films. And Nandita Chandra has done a lot of films, but has been has done a lot of stage work as well. I think a lot of the actors had done a fair amount of stage work, maybe a little less film. Arash Mokhtar, who plays Behruz, he's done a lot of work, character actor work in film and TV. So, like if you look at these guys, you'll see that they've been in a lot of different projects, but maybe not in a super starring role. So I was very lucky to get them. I think I got them at the right point in their careers. Some of them I wouldn't be able to afford now.
Yes.
The way we cast it was I emailed people I knew, and also sent out casting notices and in Backstage and Actors Access, and threw out as big a net as possible. Some of the roles were very easy to fill, some were harder. Arash and I had known each other for a couple of years by then, and so I had already promised him that role. The other cast member, like I said, some of the roles, like we had a lot of folks coming into audition for the role of Urmi and Ilona, but we had a hard time finding folks to fill Dawit, the role of Dawit. There just aren't a whole. I thought it would be easy, but there's not a huge number of Eritrean actors or Eritrean American actors in New York City. Most of them are in LA. So
Yeah.
that was that was a little bit of a challenge. But but we ended up and then we did rehearsal beforehand, and a lot of the actors were very proactive in sort of showing me, areas in the script that could use improvement, things I got wrong culturally or just weren't sensitive to. And then, we also went back and forth about things like, with Arash and Shears, who plays Azine, like their brother and sister from Iran, would they be speaking only in English to each other, or would they mix and match English and Farsi? Because they're having a very heated discussion, And so, they were like, yeah, we could experiment with that, When Babacar is calling his family back home, he's speaking in French. So I wrote some dialogue in English, and then he adapted it to match what he thought Babacar would say, and and then so stuff like that. Like we went into, they helped me a lot in terms of fleshing out the characters and their and the story, the characters and where they were in life, So.
Yes, because I think right now as well that the concept of web series right now is important, because when I see right now television series coming on big networks, streaming services like Netflix or Amazon, right now the production values are getting quite the same like big studios film,
Oh yeah.
So compared to the series we used to see like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, right now, shooting art direction, and also even the big stars right now are doing television series. So I think the medium of web series is very important right now to see, and to see and hear different voices, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Some of the shows that I've seen have been among the most daring and diverse, experimental. Like it's a great sort of playground for trying out new things, and for new talent to develop, I think. And my hope is that my hope for the last few years has been that it kind of moves into it can become a steady source of, or a steady path, so that people can start in web series and then move into regular television, both behind the camera and in front of the camera. That's happened a little bit, but it hasn't happened as much as I'd like it to. And nobody's really sure why. So like a few years ago, just when we were coming out with our show, there was a show out called Brown Girls that was really great, a web series, and then HBO picked it up. But then we, or High Maintenance, but there hasn't been like sort of a big hit. Like I guess Issa Rae's Insecure, which started out as a web series, and also Broad City, like those two shows started out as web series, and then they became regular. They became regular TV shows, and I think those are kind of the model for how we'd like to have more shows get developed. But so far, I think that hasn't really happened quite as much as much as we all like to, you know, so we all want to get paid at some point for this.
Yes. Well, I want to ask you finally if you like to say something to filmmakers or anybody interested or working in the field of cinema. Do you like to say to them something? That in the circumstances, in the aftermath of this COVID problem, and as well, the manifestation in the States and everywhere. Do you want to say something to people seeing and hearing us?
Sure. I mean, I think I'm trying to think of something kind of positive to say. I mean, so there is a lot of, obviously I think that it is very important. So I'm going to start by talking about emotion and then work to the profession, if that's okay. So like, I think as artists, we're very sensitive to things that are going on around the world, and it's very and there's a lot of things out there that suck right now. I mean, there's just no way of getting around that. I don't think it's very helpful to try and ignore those feelings that's going to bring up in you. You may feel like there's just nothing worth doing right now. It may be that you feel like you just can't get the motivation together to work, to write. It may look impossible. Like it may look like production's never going to come back the way it used to be. So I'm saying, like, don't. It's important to just to feel those feelings, but also to take some hope from the positive changes that are happening right now. People are getting very fed up and are protesting. I think that this could be the beginning of real change, real positive change in our society. And as artists, we can be part of that change. So that's the good news, is that this time of disruption doesn't have to mean the end of everything. It can be the beginning of something new. So there, and then also, if there's any way possible, and sometimes this isn't possible, but if there's any way possible to just keep going, even if it's just to write a little bit every day, to find ways to exercise those creative muscles while you're still waiting for other things to happen. The last couple of months, I've been shooting these how-to videos at home with my phone. They're focused on like filmmaking and film business related topics. They're very short, and I try to make them interesting. Some of them are not terribly interesting. Some of them nobody's ever going to see, but it keeps that muscle going. So whatever you can do to keep those creative muscles flexed right now, keep them flexed. The other thing I'd say is it's really important right now to stay in touch with other people. Filmmaking is a very social activity, and so it's very difficult when you're quarantining or when you have to be apart from people to get that same level of input. But so however you can get that, however you can reinforce those relationships with your peers and mentors, like don't give those up. Stay in touch with folks through email, through Zoom meetings, through social distance gatherings in person if you can. But those connections are really important, and can nourish you through difficult times. If you know that other people are going through a hard time as well, somehow it can become a lot easier to deal with. Don't ask me why, but it just is.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know if any of that helps, but
Yeah. Yes, I think yes, it comes from the heart. It will go to the heart. Yes,
That's,
yeah, yes. Arthur Vincie, thank you very much for joining this conversation. I hope it will be inspiring to other filmmakers and people also who love cinema. And I wish you all the best in your upcoming projects, and let us hear from you, you know, about everything. And I hope you next year we can see the second season of Three Trembling Cities.
well, here's hoping. Thank you so much for the interview, and I'm looking forward to seeing the other episodes as well. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks.